If you plan on visiting Tokyo in the next few months, well, your timing could not have been any better. And that's because after almost 2 years, Tokyo's newest iconic attraction has returned. And that iconic place is none other than Teamlab Borderless. Not only is Teamlab Borderless back, but it has returned better than ever before, with many new improvements to make this place a must visit when you arrive in Tokyo. Without spoiling too much, I'm going to cover some of the highlights about Tokyo's newest digital art museum, and like I do in every video, give you some helpful pointers and tips for when you book your tickets to this beautiful attraction. Alright, without further delay, let's jump in and explore Tokyo's new Teamlab Borderless. If you are overwhelmed planning the endless things to do for your upcoming trip to Japan, well, I have some good news for you. And that good news is my business, Hidden Japan Journeys. After years of living in Japan, I have gained a wealth of knowledge about how to easily get around and help plan your trip as efficiently as possible. If you're interested, contact me on my business email, which is located right here, or check out my website, which is located in the description below. Before we actually get into what Teamlab Borderless has to offer, I figured it might be a good idea to show you how to find it first, as it can be pretty complicated. You'll find Teamlab's newest digital art museum in the basement of Azabudai Hills, which is also one of Tokyo's newest and coolest shopping complexes as well. And if you want to see more info on Azabudai Hills itself, check out my other video, which is right here. Once you make it to Azabudai Hills, you'll find Teamlab Borderless in Garden Plaza B, which if you see an entrance that looks like this, you'll be in the right area. After finding Garden Plaza B, simply head to the basement, where you'll finally find the entrance to Tokyo's Teamlab Borderless Digital Museum. Now, when it comes to actually getting inside, you'll definitely need to book your tickets in advance, especially considering how new and popular this place will be. But don't worry, because I'm about to walk you through this process so you can book your tickets with ease and lock in your own adventure to explore all the wonderful things Teamlab Borderless has to offer. To book the tickets, start off by heading to their website, which I have provided in the description below. Next, you'll find the link to book the tickets located in the top right corner of their homepage. Then, like most other ticket websites, the rest is pretty straightforward. Just select the date you want to visit, pick the time you want to visit, and then make the payment. Once all that is done, you'll get the ticket in the form of a QR code, and you'll be all set. Alright, now that we have settled most of the vital info you need to know, let's go over some of the highlights so you know exactly why you need to visit Tokyo's newest digital art museum. But also, be sure to stick around to the end, as I have some extra special tips you need to know before you come here. Unlike Teamlab Planets, which is the other famous exhibit in Tokyo, Teamlab Borderless lives up to what its name implies. That's because at this exhibit, there are no borders between each room, leaving it entirely up to you on how you want to explore everything this amazing place has to offer. And now that you know the general layout of this borderless museum, let's go over some of the highlights that you can expect to find in its best rooms. One of the new additions to Teamlab Borderless is the Marble Room. This room, which is an amazing illusion that gives you the feeling you are lost in a sea of metal and marbles, absolutely blew me away. On top of that, the room kept constantly changing colors, giving you a strangely relaxing and beautiful experience. With an infinite amount of marbles rolling in a satisfyingly uniform fashion, and with the room shifting between a diverse array of colors, you could easily spend a long time in here appreciating the symmetrical and methodical beauty of one of Teamlab Borderless's great new additions. Another amazing addition to the new Teamlab Borderless Museum is the magnificent Bubble Room. Inside, you can make your way through a maze of bubbly shaped lights. These lights are not only curiously formed in the shape of a sphere, but they also gently alternate colors, from a cool blue shine to a warm orange glow. The only thing to note for this particular room is, because of its popularity, you can expect to wait in a line before entering and have a limited amount of time once you enter the spot, so just keep that in mind. As soon as you enter, you will be amazed at the digital waterfall that cascades right before your eyes. And as your eyes start to wander and make their way down and observe the rest of the room, you'll notice a swirl of digital water wrapping itself around you. And to the left and right of the main attraction of this room, you'll be met with either flowers or sculptures to complement the aesthetic background. And without spoiling too much, the final place I'll share is the light sculpture tunnel. Here you can get some surreal illusions of what looks like you making your way through an infinite tunnel of light. or have what looks like stars gently floating your way and dissipating when it reaches you, or have a wonderful haze of color hover in the middle of the room, giving you a satisfying sense of awe and comfort. And this is only a sample of all the other unforgettable rooms you can visit when you check out Tokyo's new Teamlab Borderless. Finally, let's go over some helpful tips you need to know before coming to Teamlab Borderless, as this certainly isn't your typical museum and there are some special considerations to take before you arrive. Tip number 1, be very cautious about wearing a skirt here. Many of the floors at Teamlab Borderless are made out of mirrors, which goes without saying that people can usually see almost anything at any angle, if you know what I mean. So if you are wearing a skirt and forget to change before coming here, make sure you at least wear some type of shorts or something underneath to fully cover yourself before walking inside. Tip number 2, it's hot inside. If you are visiting Tokyo during the winter and are bundled up to stay warm, well, you might want to be ready to shed a few layers. The inside of Teamlab Borderless is pretty hot, which shouldn't be a surprise considering just how many bright lights they have illuminating the whole place. So if you have a jacket or sweater on, make sure you drop by the locker rooms to temporarily store your gear before heading inside. Tip number 3, book well in advance. This place was already extremely popular when they closed it down in 2022. So if you combine the popularity of this place along with the new attractions inside, you better believe the tickets will sell out quickly. So make sure you book your own tickets well in advance to make sure you can visit this place at any time you want, rather than having to pick off what little times might be left for the day you want to visit. Tip number 4, the crowds are pretty manageable. If you do only have one day to check out the new Teamlab and it's almost sold out, don't worry about the crowds too much. Even on sold out days like the day we went in this video, it wasn't too crowded, so don't be worried if you see a day that is almost sold out thinking it might be too crowded. Tip number 5, visit the same hallway more than once. Don't assume you explored everything down that hallway the first time. We went down the same hallway multiple times and would somehow find a new room every time. Tip number 6, be ready to spend at least 2 hours here. Because of the several different rooms you can visit and with how easily you can get lost in here, you should expect to spend at least 2 hours here. So if you're planning your day in Tokyo, keep that important piece of info in mind. Tip number 7, be ready to wait in some lines after getting inside. Some places will have long lines, like the especially popular Bubble Room. But if you do have to wait a little bit, don't worry that much because the lines do move pretty fast. Tip number 8, ask the staff if you want to find a specific room. After trying to find the Bubble Room for nearly an hour, we finally asked the staff member who was able to quickly show us the way. So don't be afraid to ask someone if you're looking for a specific room or you're just trying to find your way out of there. Tip number 9, bring a water. You will be in here a long time and there is no place to rehydrate. And when you consider the fact of how hot it is in there already, be sure you have something to sip on while you spend your time exploring. Lastly, have a fun time and take plenty of photos so you never forget your experience in Tokyo's Teamlab Borderless. Contact me at my business email to ask about my planning services. Like this video if you found it useful. Subscribe for more Japan content and check out my affiliate links in the description below for when you plan your next trip to Japan. Alright, that's gonna do it, and until next time, I'll see you then.